original reasons why Marty was going to come on was to tell the story about the Patterson Sentry.
Yeah.
And I totally glossed over it and forgot about it.
Yeah, me too.
So please, Marty, share with the viewers your story about the Patterson, the long lost Patterson Sentry. The floor is yours.
Okay, I'll make this as I'll make it. Oh, go ahead,
Marty. That was one of the questions I had. I was like, I still have other questions for him, and that was one of them. So, all right, man. Sorry. Go ahead, Marty. Tell the story.
So, here's the story behind the Patterson bike. I own a roofing company, and a good friend of mine has a food truck. He would do the food truck thing, and it had a bad leak. So he brings this food truck by my shop, and I put this roof coating on it. Long story short is it's a long story. It cost me about, I don't know, $500 or $600, maybe $700 to do it. And he's like, "What do I owe you?" I go probably like $1,200. I go, why don't you let me look at that Patterson you've been talking about? So it's like, okay, come on out. And I've known the guy for 25 years. So it says as long as I lived in Reading. And I go out to his house, and he's like, "Yeah, come on by." He's like, "You want to look at it? You can have it. If not, I'll pay you, whatever." And I'm like, "Okay." So I go out, and he pulls this bike out, and his name's Jason Kerr. I go, "Dude, Jason," I go, this isn't the Patterson I was thinking. This is old. It almost like the chainstay was the bar with the dropout like a red line square back, but it was a round bar, and there wasn't a dropout. The dropout was cut into the frame. Okay. And I'd never seen one like that before. I'm looking, I go, well, it's definitely a Patterson because I could tell by the decals. So I told him, I said, I got a pretty good collection of bikes. I go, "Jason, look, I'll take the bike. I'll kind of restore it to where I think it should be," because he had some parts that weren't really right on it. So I took it back, and it had some nice blue Maxi Cross 3-piece cranks on it. They were all in pretty good shape. The little mini tough neck, but I had to change like the handlebars. He had some tough wheels on it that I took off, and I put some Z rims on it. And at any rate, you can kind of see the picture that I gave you of me standing with Brent and Brian when I gave it to him. But he told me, he goes, when I was a kid, he lived in Vallejo, and he said there was a guy named Bobby Schultz that worked with the Pattersons, or was one of their team guys or something. And this guy Bobby had given him the bike. He goes, "This was one of Brent's demo bikes," and they moved on. And those guys always gave stuff away. Okay. So Jason rode the bike. He raced it as a kid, and then he more got into skateboarding. So the bike had been sitting, up at his dad's house here in Reading for 40 years, in his out, not too far from where I live now. So I take the bike, clean it all up, and the funny story is, at the very first Dirty Fest, I saw Brian Patterson. He was there, and I kind of approached him and said, "Hey, I have this old Patterson," and I go, I'll bring it up to Frogtown so you guys can see it." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, cool," And I think he was caught up in everything, but he was nice to me. I don't want to say he just brushed me off, but he was just like, "Yeah, sure, bring it up." And I'm like, "Okay." So I bring it that next year, and I started, the whole time I was thinking, so me and Ronnie would come by, and we're sitting in my garage, and he goes, "Dude, this is old. This is super old." He's texted Vance a few pictures of it, and didn't really get much of a response. So I said, "Well, I'll just take it down to Frogtown, and maybe I'll just give it to them. Maybe it's just something they're not interested in." But I take it down there, and I take it to their tent, and they're like looking at it going, "Dude, that's a Sentry." It was, and I don't know, maybe they didn't get the pictures that Ronnie sent them. I don't know. So I'm down at their booth at Frogtown, at their tent right there, and there's one of the guys that's part of their crew that's with them is like, "Well, I'll give you $500 for it," and I'm like, "I'm not really looking for it, to sell it," and I just was, and I told them the whole story about Bobby Schultz and where the bike came from, and they don't have any recollection of a guy named Bob Schultz. But at any rate, after everybody's kind of talking back and forth, Vance is sitting over across the way, and he goes, "Well, the magic question is, how much do you want for the bike?" And I told him, I said, "Honestly,